So good to connect with you today. Today is March 20th, 2021, and this is the EricSwanRacing.com podcast number 46 with Matthew Dombrowski. So thank you for joining me today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit. You've been a good friend of mine for the last, I'd say, 25 years or so, out of 28 so far. And known you my whole life. You've been a family friend. Interviewed AJ already on here, and you're his brother. So now you guys can put a face to a name. We probably talked about you on here already at some point. So you're in the finance world, and you've been into that for a while. So what got you into the finance world, and why that arena?
Well, coming out of college, had a finance degree. My last semester of college, did a internship with the financial services industry, and really just liked the mix of using finance, but then also helping people reach their goals. And the longer you kind of are in the industry and talk to more and more people, you realize that it's an area that the average person is very undertaught, or the education in school really fails people. I feel like, they teach you everything in school from history to, in my opinion, a lot of math that you potentially will never use depending on what you go into, but they don't teach kind of basic finance or anything like that. So after doing that internship and just seeing the impact you can have on people's lives to help them reach their financial goals, and where I'm at particularly is focusing more on retirement, but get to the point where they can retire and see the fruits of their labor come to be, is what kind of drove me into the industry. And been in it for going on 7 or 8 years now.
Very good. And so when I was younger, I took a Dave Ramsey course. It was at, I think, the Plymouth Whalers, old place, the hockey arena, CompuWare. And it was a big seminar, and it was, several hours long, and I thought it was boring at the time, but I learned a lot. And, it's never buy stuff that you can't afford, all the basic things. But again, they don't teach you that stuff in school. You're always learning math that you never use, and trigonometry, and I don't use that. I'm not an engineer, but I know a decent amount of math, and that's what I was going for when I was in college, was mechanical engineering. So that was going down that road. But I mean, computer programs do so much of that for you. I guess it's good to understand the concepts, but to go into detail is kind of exhaustive.
Yeah, I would agree. And Dave Ramsey is one that we come around quite a bit. And while I agree with a lot of what he says, I do definitely agree with don't overextend yourself, don't buy what you can't afford, that type of stuff, which is unfortunately what, especially when you're younger, a lot of people fall into. You get through high school, either you go to a trade school or college or get a job, and you automatically want the new car, the latest iPhone, whatever it may be, and quickly potentially get into debt, and that's where people tend to get in trouble.
And it's so easy just to swipe that card and say, yeah, I'll just put it on the card and pay it off later. But the cost of leasing a car versus buying a car. I bought a car, Pontiac Sunfire. It was I think it was 06 Pontiac Sunfire for like $6,000. Had it for 4 years, sold it for $4,000. That car cost me $500 a year. Some leases could be $300 a month, which that's crazy to think the difference in cost. $500 a year versus what? I don't even know the cost. $3,000, $4,000 a year.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes down to, in finance, people want to know, what the next hot stock is or whatever it may be. And while you do hear the occasional success story of somebody that, invested in Amazon or Tesla when it was pennies a share, realistically, it's more consistency and starting at a young age that'll get you there more often than swinging for the fences. Because usually when you're trying to find the next hot stock, you have just as good of a chance of it going to zero as you do of it going 10x plus or whatever you're looking for.
So are you a big investor, and where do you tend to put your money?
Being in the industry, we invest. At the age I'm at, I'm what I would consider very aggressive. So pretty much all in equities. But something I know just from being in the industry as I progress through my investing career and get closer to retirement age, we'll start to dial back that risk. But at my age, I'm all in equities pretty much. I know that there's a good chance that's going to have a lot of ups and downs over the next couple of decades, sure. But I know that, and I'm willing to take on that risk. And when you look at it, the biggest, I don't want to say mistake, but one of the things that people tend to do is try to time the market, try to jump in and out of cash. Realistically, nobody does that well. Nobody times that on the downside and then gets back in on the upside. Usually they tend to sell near the bottom and buy back in near the top, and then they wonder why they're not getting any sort of returns. It's more important to have the proper allocation for what you're looking to do and ride out the bad times, potentially maybe even put more in. I know that's kind of counterintuitive, but do that if you can afford to do it, than to try to jump in out and time the market. I mean, you have people on Wall Street that don't do that well. So the fact that the average investor doesn't isn't surprising.
Yeah. So what should someone do if they're looking to make a purchase, like put a down payment on a house? So many people are saving up for. You have this large chunk of cash. Where should you put that money when you need it out fairly quickly? That's not too risky.
Unfortunately, the bank, which doesn't pay much. I mean, we tell clients that all the time. I always tell clients that over a long period of time, stock markets are predictable. They go up. They're going to go through cycles. Over a month, 2 months, 6 months, nobody knows. So if you're going to need the money within a year or 6 months or something like that, I mean, you could go very short term, could potentially lose some value. Unfortunately, the bank is the safest place. I would say long term, if you have a large chunk of cash that you're not planning to touch for several years, then yeah, I wouldn't just leave it in the bank. That's outside of your emergency fund, not a good spot to be holding it right now. But for down payments and things like that, that's kind of the safest spot. I mean, you could say a CD, but even those aren't really paying much more than just a regular bank account at this point.
Yeah, I've been using Acorns lately for my investing. So I attach all my credit cards and debit cards and all bank accounts to it. So anytime I make a purchase, it'll round up transactions to the next dollar. And then I have a multiplier on it times 10. So every purchase I make is rounded up times 10. So that's like in my mind, when I buy something, I got to make sure there's enough for, the investment too. You can also put reoccurring investments, like on Mondays, I do a certain amount. And that really helps out after a while. You don't think about it. It's just taken out of your account. And that's kind of how I'm saving my money. But I switched it from aggressive to conservative because I'm looking to buy a house hopefully soon. And it's invested in ultra short-term government bonds. So they're very, very low, profit, but it's very high risk, very low risk as well.
Yep, I would agree. Outside of a bank account, that's probably one of the best places. Those ultra short-term, government bonds. They're about as close to a bank account as you can get, but maybe getting a little bit better return than a bank account. Because I know most people are getting, 0.25% or less in their bank account. So nothing to write home about there.
Yeah, there's a very small amount, but I'm getting something. So I guess it's better than just my money sitting in the bank.
Yeah, but I would agree with you switching it to more conservative if you're looking for that purchase because the market has gone on a very good run. Last year was very choppy, but last year was really the first wake-up call since, call 2008, where you had a really true big correction. Every year you have some sort of correction usually in the market, but a big correction that I think kind of woke people up because as you get farther and farther from that 08 and have that sustained bull market, all of a sudden people are less and less risk averse and just think, well, the market goes up all the time by, double digits. That's completely normal. And while yes, the good years tend to outweigh the bad, I would 100% agree with that. Markets can still go up and down.
Yeah, and this was a year when hundreds, if not thousands, of business around the country went out of business probably forever and are not coming back. There's many of them that are coming back. And I think the government's trying to help out with that latest stimulus package that already hit my account. and some of my friends, which is nice. But it's like it's inflated. It's all an experiment. We don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that are concerned about inflation in the future and things like that. And really, last year I think's a prime example in the market of what the average investor tends to do and what you shouldn't do is when you look at um, it pulling back within a 6 to 8 week period about 30%. If you're just looking at the S&P 500 type market, people are freaking out. When should I go to cash? Should I pull my money out? And realistically, if you look, what caused that to go down was purely emotion, especially at the beginning. Those 10% drops, that was people emotionally reacting to it. And when you look at a trade, anytime you sell something, somebody on the other side has to buy it. It doesn't just go into some magical trade fund. There's a buyer on the other side of it, and it's usually institutional investors scooping it up and going, yeah, I don't think Amazon, Tesla, Microsoft, any of them are going out of business. I'll take this at a discount, thanks. And when it bounces back, you're going to be going, well, I really wish I wouldn't have done that. And one of the people we work with says, and I think it's well put, when the market's falling, you don't want to trade short-term pain for long-term misery. It's not fun to see your money fluctuate. I 100% get that. But if you have it allocated correctly to your goals, in the long run, you'll be fine.
So you're saying don't look at it?
We have a lot of clients and a lot of people that I work with that through 08 or through last year, they're like, yeah, I didn't look at it. And I'm like, probably a good move because it stops you from emotionally reacting. I mean, when you look, how often do you make an emotional decision and come back and go, oh, really glad I made that? Looking back, would have made that decision again. Usually it's really wish I wouldn't have done that.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that being said, to your point, you shouldn't have stuff ultra aggressive if you needed it in a week. Like that's not properly allocated, and that's what's going to keep you up at night. If you have the right allocation, the funds that could fluctuate like they did last year, or funds you might not need for several years, then not fun to see, but not anything you should lose sleep over.
So for people who try to, add up or do their net worth once a month or once a quarter, how often should they do that if they're not trying to look at the markets?
And it's really a personal decision. We have clients, and I know people that will look at it daily. Personally, I think that'll drive you a bit nuts because the market can move up and down on a daily basis. But as long as you're not going to, cause yourself undue stress over it, I guess that's fine. I'm more, maybe quarterly, couple times a year, look at, your full net worth and things like that. That being said, that's different than, say, tracking your expenses, because I'll look at my expenses monthly just to make sure you're not spending on stuff that in the grand scheme of things isn't very important, but is potentially costing me a lot of money. Don't want to leak in the bottom of the boat if you can avoid it.
Yeah, for sure. So outside of a financial advisor, are there any resources out there that you would point people towards to learn more about finance or investing or retirement or saving?
I mean, I think for starters, just if you're interested in it, Googling the different terms and getting an idea of what types of accounts there are, what's available to you. Because what a lot of people don't realize, and they think it's just your 401k. And there's pre-tax accounts, things like 401ks, traditional IRAs, 403bs, that type of stuff, which are great when you are first starting out and it helps reduce your income. You're able to put it away tax-free and get that growth. But once you have that, there's things like Roth accounts, which are paying with after-tax dollars, get to grow tax deferred, and then down the road, you can pull it out tax-free. So like that, and then there's non-qualified accounts, individual accounts, things like that, that also have different tax benefits. So I'd say one thing that a lot of people don't think about, especially early on, is tax diversifying their types of investments. Because down the road, and what we see with a lot of people in retirement is they get to retirement, they have, $500,000, which is a great amount saved up, and it's all in pre-tax money. Well, most people are looking right now going, tax rates are going to go up in the future because, as you said, we have all this stimulus and money and you got to pay for it somehow, is a lot of people's opinion. So those rates are going to go up, and it's all pre-tax. So they're going, well, now I could have had it at 22 cents on the dollar or 12 or whatever your bracket is. And now all of a sudden, a decade from now, the low brackets could be 40, and you're pulling out and giving 40 cents on the dollar to the government instead of 12.
Yeah, big difference.
So having that tax diversification is, I think, important. Realizing that, and most people don't. I would say, unfortunately, the average American doesn't even save, let alone think about 401ks versus Roths versus non-qualified accounts and that type of stuff. So I mean, I think anytime, the internet's a great resource to get started. What I tend to find, and I always kind of joke with clients, is back in the day you needed an advisor to even get the information. The information's out there now, but most people want an advisor to help whittle it down, go, what are the important decisions that I should be looking at and making to make sure I'm set up for success, like help filter out the noise.
Yeah,
And
there's so much out there. How do you know what's true and a fake fact and a real fact, right? All this stuff.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think advisors are more important in that role today, and being coaches and help making sure stuff's set up, than just getting the information. Because like anything now, you can get a lot on the internet, but like you said, what's stuff I should be following and what's stuff that isn't necessarily in my best interest.
And I've found out about a FSA or FHA, which is for health savings accounts,
Mhm.
and it's basically like free money because it takes it out of your paycheck and it goes into a separate account. You don't think about it. And then I needed some new glasses, some new lenses,
Mhm.
prescription. So I just got new prescription in my glasses, popped the old lenses out, put the new ones in. They did that all for me, and it like was zero out of pocket and it's tax free. It's great.
Yeah, those health savings accounts are usually, if you qualify for them, a good thing in that they're one of the few, we'll call it triple tax advantage, where you don't pay tax putting the money in. It grows potentially, depending how you have it invested, tax free. And then if you use it for the qualified medical stuff, it's tax free on the way out. There's other ones that are very tax advantaged, like Roths or traditionals, but at some point you're paying tax on something.
Yeah.
With that, if you use it properly, you're not paying tax potentially on any of it.
Right. So outside of finance, you have a lot of hobbies. You're into fitness. You're into sports and all this stuff. Tell me a little bit about your hobbies.
Yeah, with the pandemic, a little less of all that because nobody's been able to really do anything. And with a toddler, keeps you pretty busy, but still like to keep up on, different sports when they're on. Football, looking forward to the Tigers starting up. Been following the Lions, we'll call it rebuild again. But in the summer, now that's starting to warm up, enjoy going out, spending out time outside. With my wife's family has a cottage up on the lake, so we try to spend some time up there, go out in the water, occasionally get some golf in. I'd say not as often as I'd like and not as good at as I'd like to be, but anything to kind of keep busy and enjoy the outdoors, just because everybody's normally so cooped up, but even more so over the past little over a year now.
Yeah, it's been crazy for a year. Everybody's been under lockdown, and we're still under lockdown. I mean, I don't know what it's technically called anymore. I don't know if we're under state of emergency, but you're in Livonia and I'm in Sterling Heights, so not far away.
Mm-hmm.
And how has the COVID affected you? Are you still going into work every day? Are you working from home?
Uh, yeah, the last year was interesting. We did a lot of like split, where we spent quite a bit of time working with, Zoom and that type of stuff. Now more back in the office, we're kind of trying to be in as much as possible, and with everybody, keeping safe distances and proper protocols and all that type of stuff. But unfortunately, in our business, can you do a lot of it remotely with Zoom and tools like that? Yes. But, when you're potentially talking about somebody's life savings and making sure that they're doing things properly, that face to face really helps. People are more comfortable with that, which I get it. I always joke that I want to make sure we actually work in an office and not in a broom closet and that.
You're not some guy in the Philippines trying to steal your money.
Exactly. So I would say we were kind of doing half and half, but at this point we're trying to be in the office as much as possible, as safely as possible.
So I would imagine your being in your business is as much about being knowledgeable about your subject, but also, that relationship you have with the customer.
Hmm.
It's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, and that's, kind of earlier, like I said, one of the things that got me into it is it's a nice mix of the analytical, putting together a plan, um, making sure goals are met, and then also talking with people, teaching them, helping them understand it, helping them feel comfortable with it, being that non-biased presence. Because everything we talk about of not freaking out and not panicking and doing things correctly is easy to say when it's not your money. A little
Sure,
bit
yeah.
different to take that emotion out of it. So a big part of it is being that sounding board for clients and helping put them at ease and making sure they really understand how the plan works and how it's going to move through the various markets. Because I'd like to say throughout your life, markets will go up every year, and more often than not, they will. But at some point, you're going to have a down market. So you
Gotta
have
be
to be able
ready.
to move through that.
And I saw some statistic that said, 80% of Americans have $1,000 or less, and they're saved up in their bank account. So I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's some numbers like that, and that's just wild. Now, people are losing their jobs and
Mhm.
unemployment's skyrocketing, and people are realizing you have to really save for that rainy day because there might be a rainy year or two, maybe.
Yeah, and like we said, it goes back to, in my opinion, at the even schooling level before you even get out on your own as an adult or college or something like that. It's just something that's under taught and under valued in the education system is just basic finance, like an emergency fund, how markets basically work, that type of stuff. There's a lot of different things to invest in, and you can invest your money however you're comfortable with, but the most people don't even get to the point of thinking about that. It's just paycheck to paycheck and not having that security or that rainy day fund that if something bad happens, you can weather a storm for enough time to get back on your feet.
And really, I've found out lately that it's not about how much you make. It's about how much you save, how much you keep about of how much you're making. So if you don't save any of your paycheck, it all goes to bills, and you're spending money on rent and things, or buying things you can't afford, um, and paying additional money and credit card fees. That's not good. But if you're able to live on, you know, 50% of your paycheck or even less than that, and save the rest of it, that's kind of an ideal situation.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say most people can't get to 50%, but even if it's 10% or something like that, and nowadays, like you said, there's so many automated things where it's taken out of your check automatically, so
Yeah.
you don't even realize it and see it. And like I said, it's that consistency that over time you eventually look and go, all right, well, actually, I've saved a good bit of money now. Like I never thought I would be able to do that. Um,
It takes discipline to be able to do that because it's so easy to go out and get a car wash, get an oil change, and then go get some food on the way home, fast food, and you could have done all those things yourself and paid half the money for it. Cooked your
yeah,
food, done your oil change yourself, and washed your car with a hose at your house and paid 12 cents of water instead of $6. So it's
yeah.
all about choices.
Yep, I would agree, and it is definitely balancing that scale. I mean, I in our industry, people love to ask what's that magic number to get to be able to retire. Most people say 1 million or 500 or whatever it may be, and I said it's not really a magic number because everybody's is different. It's balancing that scale. You could be a doctor that's earning $500,000 a year, spend 450 of it and save $2 million, and most people go, they're in great shape. But if you really run the numbers to retire for 30 years, they're not going to last
Yeah.
them very long. If you're spending $450,000, now you have people that never earn more than $100,000, save up 300, live well within their means, and can retire very comfortably. It's more balancing the scale than finding some magical number, because it's not a one size fits all type thing.
And there's a lot of ways to do it. I've heard of people saying, well, all you need is some nest egg of money to have, and then you can, if you don't go over your yearly expenses, you could live on that nest egg forever and potentially live on the interest at some point if you have enough of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it, a lot of different ways people are comfortable with, because everybody's different. You have some people that are never wanting to eat into principle at all. You have other people that are okay with that. You always have to, I always say, I wish we could plan for absolutely everything. Realistically, you can't. Life happens. So you want to stack the deck in your favor as much as possible, but then have that flexibility to make adjustments, because there will be that, unexpected home repair or car repair or whatever it may be, family emergency.
The pandemic of 2030 or World War 2045, these things we don't know about yet.
Yeah, after last year, I joked I've done trying to make predictions on that, because in 2018, if you were to tell me that's what 2020 would have been like, most people I think would have said you're nuts, but you never know.
A lot of stuff go on that year.
Yeah, at least it looks like from a lot of the reports, hopefully we're starting to with the vaccines rolling out and everything. It looks like we're hopefully starting to turn a corner, but time will tell. Talking to people, and in my profession, you talk to a lot of different types of people. Everybody wants to know when it's going to be over, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be you go to sleep Sunday and Monday everything's back to normal. It's going to be more gradual, where you look back at the end of the year and go, I guess we are kind of back to normal. When did that happen? Not, this day. This was the day that it was over.
It's already been a year, man. And tell me about GameStop. What's your prediction on GameStop's future?
GameStop was interesting. So GameStop basically is what they call a short squeeze. So without going too much into the weeds and getting too technical, basically a lot of Wall Street, or not a lot, but some people on Wall Street or the bigger hedge funds were shorting it, basically betting the stock was going to go down. And on Reddit, they kind of pumped that price up, and depending who you are, some people are glad that, as they say, Main Street beat Wall Street. Other sides say that it was stock manipulation. I mean, realistically, do I think GameStop was worth a couple $100s or whatever it went up to? No. I mean, with the technology and streaming and everything like that, to me, GameStop is a company that's probably on the way out. Yeah, going to go the way of Blockbuster in the future, unless they find a way to reinvent their business, which you never know. But now everybody's wondering, will it happen again? I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. It's what you call a black swan event. That great if you wrote it up, but you could see how quickly it went up, and it's dropped pretty much as quickly.
So do you think it could happen with the same stock or a different stock?
I doubt it happens again with GameStop. Could it happen again with another stock where there's a short squeeze? Yeah, I mean, they happen. Probably not to the media attention that GameStop got. I mean, people short stocks every day. That's not anything unusual. What is unusual is you have Reddit, was it Wall Street Bets Reddit page, kind of fueling the price up and squeezing the hedge funds that were shorting it.
That's just the people working together to say F you to the big guy.
Yeah, and that's why a good amount of people, or some people, was glad to see it happen. Others were not. I mean, don't get me wrong, these big hedge funds aren't hurting for money, so I don't put any of them out of business or anything.
Yeah, they're fine.
But I mean, it did cost them potentially quite a bit of money, depending on how they were allocated.
That's what you get for betting and playing with money, right? That's why it's risky.
Shorting the market is definitely risky.
But there's a lot of money to be made if you're right.
There is. I mean, basically, when you short the market, you're betting it's going to go down, and in essence, you're taking or borrowing the stock at one price. If the price goes down, you then buy it back and give the person back the stock and pocket the difference.
Like a stock option?
Uh, Options is a way to do it, but are a way to potentially cover it. But that's essentially what when you're shorting it, what you're doing. And then the problem is though, if you don't cover it with something like an option or something like that, if it goes the other way, like GameStop did, you're potentially opening yourself up for unlimited losses because theoretically, if you buy a stock, you're finite in what you can lose. The stock can go to zero, but you're not just going to keep going down. If you short it and it goes up, theoretically, upside potential is unlimited, and you eventually are going to have to buy that at a higher price, give it back to the person you borrowed it from, and pocket quite a hefty loss potentially.
Yeah, that's wild.
So yeah, it's something. I mean, it is a way that you can, if you know what you're doing, make big money at times, but it is definitely high on the risk scale.
And are there any financial ideas or ideals that you hold that are not widely held by others that maybe you think are controversial or?
No, I mean, I would say a lot of at the basics, living within your means, setting that proper allocation and sticking to it and being consistent. In our industry, I would say most advisors would agree with. If you want to go conventional wisdom with the average person, that might not exactly jive with them. But as we said, the average person doesn't exactly do well saving and looking ahead. But it is finding that balance of you don't want to not enjoy yourself at all because you never know what's going to happen, and always look to the future, but you also don't want to spend everything now and not worry about the future at all. It's finding that happy balance, and everybody's is different. So would I say I have anything that's controversial or not held widely? Probably not. In our industry, I'd say conventional wisdom a lot of times I would agree with.
Sure, that makes sense. You don't want to stray too far from the pack, I guess, in finance because then you'll be by yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, you always want to be cutting edge and open to new ideas and things like that. But I wouldn't say myself or anybody that I work with has any, radical ideas that really go against the grain of what the industry is kind of thinking right now.
Very good. That makes sense. Is there anything on your mind you wanted to talk about today?
Well, I mean, it's been a while since we've talked. I know you've been busy with your business, your online business, and everything else. And you can see the different racing stuff. I'm sure the pandemic has put a bit of a damper on that for everybody. How's that kind of affected you?
Yeah, so I switched over from motorsports to mountain bike racing and foot racing and doing, the Tough Mudders and those kinds of things to help save money. And I did a mountain bike championship in 2018. I won the championship in the beginner class. Moved up to sport in 2019. I got, I think, fourth overall in the state in the sport class. Didn't really happen in 2020. So I didn't get any really racing in. I think there might have been one or two rounds, but they canceled a few of them right before the event, and I wasn't trying to drive 4 hours up north to have the event canceled. So I skipped maybe two of them that they had, and they didn't even have the full championship. So I didn't feel like I lost out on anything.
Yeah.
I've actually switched over to sim racing, so simulator racing. I'm just using my PS4, but I have a legit racing wheel and pedals, and it's not a toy. It's not something you get from Target. It's a Fanatic, which is like one of the biggest e-sport suppliers of sim racing rigs, and it got something called force feedback in it, so you can really feel the car underneath you, unlike anything else. It's what the top guys use for training, actually. So
You think so? You've done now, I guess, as you're saying, both sides of racing. Do you think that's the way it's going to go in the future? I know. I mean, if you were to tell me when we were younger playing, Nintendo and all that you'd be flipping on TV and thered be e-leagues of people playing the different games, and potentially, if you're good, making some serious money at it.
Well, yeah. So what's something that's very, very troubling or difficult, anyways, for motorsports is just the barrier of entry for because of the cost. It's so
Mhm.
expensive just to have the machine to be able to race in the first place, have a transporter to get it there, and a trailer to put it in, and then to be able to pay for each individual weekend is another cost by itself. And then that's not even talking about crashing. So it's a very high expense sport. So that means that you're not going to have as big of a pool of people. Now, when you get into sim racing, that changes the game because
Mhm.
now, yes, you have to have a TV and electricity and now a sim rig. You don't have to, but it really helps. Um,
Sure.
it just lowers the cost tremendously. And I was just watching something maybe on Donut Media about sim racing and this exact thing. They were saying sim racing poses a brand new opportunity for tons of drivers who never had the funds to be in a professional car.
Mhm.
And so, soccer, basketball, all these stick and ball sports are extremely low cost of entry. It might cost you $1,000 for the whole year. Well, it cost me like $1,000 for my tires for a weekend.
Mhm.
It's totally different. And
Yeah, I
so,
remember when we were talking when you first got into it, you said that unless you get the sponsorship or something like that, it's hard to make a serious push just because to self-finance it, it takes a lot of time, one, and that's not usually conducive with, high paying, high stress jobs.
it's
So
a full-time job. Yeah.
it's hard to carry a full-time stressful job and then just do this on the side, but to really put the full energy into that, it's hard to they don't pay out the way they should to allow you to sustain it as a true career unless you have that big sponsorship, which I'm sure is easier said than done to get.
Sure. So I almost gave up on sponsorship. I said, I couldn't make it work with 20 sponsors that I had. Most of them were parts suppliers, so free parts, discounts, services, and some of them were paying, but wasn't enough to cover the regional and sometimes national rounds that I did. So I'm building my business, ericswanracing.com, to help fund that all. Still working a full-time job, but
Mhm.
building my business on the side, and I hope to buy a house so I can, rent out some rooms and get some more renters. So I'd like to do that and just trying to grow things. So um,
How is the website going as far as growth? I know last time we talked, you said you were trying to scale up and stuff, which is um, everybody's ultimate goal. But like we said with the sponsorships, it's easy to say that's what you want to do. Definitely a lot of work that most people aren't willing to put into to get to that point.
yeah, I mean, I'd say it worked with the sponsorship. It just wasn't enough. It's hard to get TV coverage at the amateur level. There is none. So you got to do something like this and make your own coverage. So
Mm-hmm.
the business is going well. I've actually had a few five-figure months lately, which is great for me.
Nice. Yep.
And but it's not enough still. I think I need to get to about $30,000 a month is my
Mm-hmm.
sweet spot, and then I might be able to make this my full-time gig. Um, because the margins are pretty low. I might be shipping exhausts all around the world, but the margins might be 10-15% at the end of the day. After all the fees, after all the marketplace fees, selling it on Amazon isn't cheap or free.
No,
So
no, Bezos isn't the richest person in the world.
yeah, they
Or
take a lot of
top
it from
two
a
now.
lot of the sale. They take like I don't know, 12% maybe.
Yeah, I would say it's not unusual to them though. I know talking to people that do things on Etsy and things like that, like it's not cheap to go on there. Or I've sold tickets on StubHub before, and most people think, well, that fee that you're when you're buying is all it is. It's like, no, they get you both sides. They
Oh yeah,
they
and
charge
then
you the fee
there's
when you buy, and they charge you the fee when you sell too.
a credit card fee, PayPal fee. There's a breathing fee, a shipping fee. It's like, oh my goodness. But I have to be on there because there's 300 million customers a month on Amazon or whatever the number is. And
Mhm.
so that's why I'm on eBay and Amazon and Etsy and Craigslist sometimes, and my own website, is because you got to be everywhere. Because people don't know who you are yet until you're a major company that's existed for 30 years. Nobody knows you exist.
Have you done advertising and stuff for your website through like the social media, Facebook, Twitter, all that type of stuff, or how do you get people to drive to your website?
Yeah, so this is the newest thing I'm doing to drive people to my website is the podcast
Hmm.
because it's basically once you have the cameras, and I'm not even using a camera, I'm using my laptop right now. Uh,
Hmm.
so um, once you have the equipment, it's almost free to do this. All it takes is a little bit of time to edit it. The program to edit is free, like everything is free. I don't have any hosting fees. It's all on YouTube and free listing or hosting platforms.
Hmm.
Um, and I have actually hired a graphic designer to make some images for me, and I put them on Instagram and Facebook, and paid for ads, quite a
Hmm.
couple $100 a month, and that definitely drove. I saw a big spike in traffic from that. Now it's hard to directly track that to sales. You know, I don't
Hmm.
see a direct correlation for sales, but there was a lot more clicks. I don't know if that's doing anything,
Right.
but it's like Coca-Cola is the biggest company in the world, but they still spend millions of dollars in advertising every year, like because
Hmm.
it works. Um, and sometimes they say, I've heard you need 7 times of exposure before you buy it. I don't know if that's true because if there's something you really want and it fits that need, you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy that right away. You know, if it's that thing. But if it's you're on the fence for it, or like I sell race parts, like not everybody needs a new rear set for their motorcycle. But if you
Right.
do, like you're gonna buy it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
Like
make
you
that
said,
hesitation.
it's getting the traffic there is one thing, but in any business, getting eyes there or having them come in the door is one thing, but converting them into a sale or into profit for your business is the real trick, which
Yeah.
is half the battle's getting them there, the other half is making sure that they buy something, because nowadays it's so easy with the internet to click from page to page to page, and everything's become very commoditized where price is the only thing they look at, and
Yeah.
when you can't see it, feel it, touch it, price is pretty much all you have to go on, unless you know the brand, one brand's better than the other or something like that. But used to be you go to the store or wherever and could feel like, hey, this one's well made, this one's kind of flimsy. Well, you can't really do that on the internet. It's based on price, and not always the cheapest isn't always the best, or the most expensive isn't always the best. So trying to compare, that's a new challenge for people that are working on the internet, which I can commend, because it's not an easy area to get into and to prosper in.
And so you have to build a reputation, and that part of me doing this is like building a voice. People can now go to my website and hear me talk in just regular conversation. I don't have a script, I have no notes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's very valuable. They can see my expertise with my resume behind me. You know, they can
Yeah.
see, um, they can hear me talking to professionals in all sorts of industries, and hear that I'm not so much of an idiot, I hope.
Are we planning to, assuming racing's back to normal this year, get back into it and do more of that type of stuff? I know you said you've done more of the switch to more of the mountain bike and things like that. I know your brother does the Ironmans and all that type of stuff. So are we planning to hopefully be potentially more normal this year and get back to that type of stuff?
Yeah, so I might do some pit work for some guys at the track this year. I plan on buying a 50cc pit bike motorcycle, so a really tiny mini bike, dirt bike type of thing, and use that for training. They actually race them at the local kart-to-kart track near my house.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so I'm going to do that this coming season. It's about to end the mini indoor season, but I'm going to be ready for next year. And then hopefully, I think I'm going to get maybe a 150cc dirt bike. So small
Hmm.
stuff still. Not planning on doing any road racing for the next couple of years, unless my business really takes off,
Sure.
or with the additional house and renters that might help more.
Sure.
Um, but I think in the next 2 or 3 years, I should be able to get back to the track, do some track days. My end goal is definitely doing track days and racing again. I want to do racing at a professional level. I'm just waiting on my business to be at a high enough level that I can afford
Sure.
to do that. And that's really the goal, is to work full time on my business, go racing professionally. And I think starting 2024, maybe 2023, I'll be able to do that again. Um, Depending on if everything continues as it is, I should be able to do that in 3 years.
Yes, the racing you were doing previously with the not the dirt bikes, but the power bikes and things like that. Is there a big professional level in the US, or is it something similar to soccer and stuff? Like the best in the world aren't necessarily in the US. They're, in Europe
Um,
or wherever.
well, not so much anymore. I mean, the level in America has really gotten better in the last few years. Moto America is the professional organization for the U.S. and it's top notch. We have MotoGP guys from the top level come back to Moto America or come to Moto America and get beat.
Mhm.
So it's at a very high level, and we're actually having world level guys come to our series, and there's sometimes they're doing well, sometimes they're struggling, but it's great to see that it's we have South African guys, we have guys from all over the world, uh,
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool. And but I mean, there is an international series. There's two international series that are higher, but those are just on a different level. They go to like 12, 15 countries per
Mhm.
season, and we just stay in the States.
So do you think, in the racing world, I guess, with all the stuff with going carbon neutral and that type of stuff, do you see that impacting the racing world in the future? Either negatively,
So
positively, switching the type of fuel you're using, whatever it may be.
for sure, there's already electric bikes and electric cars. There's Moto E, and there's Formula E for cars, um, which are electric series, and they're just different. They're totally different machines, but
Hmm.
they're very fast. There's nothing wrong with them. Sometimes the full drive time might be a little shorter, but I mean they're still going like 45 minutes to an hour, which is plenty
Hmm.
for a race for a motorcycle. Normally that's the distance anyways, about 45 minutes for a full feature race. Uh,
Sure.
so it's plenty distance. It's just they're not widely distributed, and I think it'll be a while before that's the main power unit of the production bikes, because they're all based on production bikes, and none of the bikes that are raced in any of these series that are electric, none of them are electric that could be in these series. Is what I'm saying. So they have to be a whole revamp from the series. And I mean, Formula One's done it, but I don't think MotoGP is going to make that switch for a while. Um, I sell 4 different brands of exhausts, so that matters to me because I have emission standards um, issues with Amazon listings and exhausts because they keep taking them down, saying this complies with Title II of the Clean Air Act and all this crap. I'm like, but that doesn't affect me because these are for closed course competition use only, and these are exempt from Title II of that act. And they don't care. They just take it down because they're the boss.
Yeah.
But I can still sell them on Amazon and my website. I'm sorry, eBay and my website.
Mhm.
Amazon, they take them down. So it's a little frustrating. And even for California, I have to have a form sign that says you will not use this for street use. It's only for closed course competition. But that's only one state in 50.
Mhm. Yeah, it's something that, to me, and this is just a personal opinion, do I think we're eventually going to move more towards that type of stuff? Yes. But until you really figure out how to generate electricity cleanly, you're just trading gas for coal. So is it
Yeah.
really making any sort of sustainable difference? I don't
I
know. Not an
definitely
expert there, but
think
to me, you wouldn't think so.
I definitely think it should go towards electric, but I don't want to stop the combustion. Like you can have both, and motorcycles are such a small footprint on the global impact of all emissions. Like
Hmm.
it's not an issue. Like cow farts are a way bigger problem than motorcycle emissions,
Yeah.
right?
No, it's finding that balance. And I was talking with somebody that was saying that another thing might be they're switching to more hydrogen based fuels, which or carbon based fuels, which can, one, help solve the problem that everybody seems to be trying to solve. But it's just interesting, and I was curious on your take because you're more in that world than anyone else that I know. how that might affect it, because I know, motorcycle racing, NASCAR, whatever it may be, whether it's your cup of tea or not, there is a large segment of the population that does enjoy that stuff.
Oh yeah, and all our stuff, like we don't buy 87 fuel at the pump. Ours is like 110 octane. They have higher than that, and it's like $5-6, sometimes $15 a gallon for fuel. Like it's a way different thing. It's much more powerful. Higher octane gives you more oomph out of the corners and more speed, and it's just different fuel mapping. So all that stuff is way higher emissions than your normal car is, but it's its whole own industry. Like most of this stuff is exempt from all that because it's not on the public roads. It's a separate thing. And so maybe it is a problem because we're also burning it at, we get like 2 miles per gallon or 5 miles a gallon because we're at, 100% throttle for 80% of the lap, So it's not perfect. Maybe it should be cleaner, and in the future, I'm sure it will be. But right now, that's how we know how to go fast. These machines are already going MotoGP 220 miles an hour, I think, which they're just flying.
Yeah, and it's something like we talked about with the pandemic, and everybody nowadays wants instant answers, instant results, and this similar to that. I think it's time. You see a lot of people not wanting to make the switch, which again, personal opinion, people are entitled to whatever opinion they want, but to me, it's not next year, it's not 2 years from now, it's 40 years from now is when you're really going to see that, where you look back and go, all right, well, pretty much everything's running on renewable energy or whatever it may be. It's not going to be 2025.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to try for it. They're going to try to make that push. There's countries that are banning combustion engines being built after 2035 or in Europe. I don't know all the numbers or the countries, but I think there's a couple countries that are starting that already. And that's great. And, at the same time, I'd love to buy a dirt bike that's electric that I can ride around my backyard and no one's going to yell at me for riding in my backyard. I can't do that with a 50cc as well as I could with an electric. But right now, they're only going to last an hour, whereas a dirt bike, I could ride all day, just put more gas in it.
Yep. Yeah, so until they increase the battery technology and like we were saying, find a way to generate the electricity cleanly, otherwise you're just trading one for the other. It's not really solving the problem. But even here, I think GM said like 2035 or 2040, they're going to be pretty much producing only electric is what their goal is. So,
I mean, it makes sense because environmental stuff aside, like that's great if you make the world better, but we're going to run out of it. Like a certain point is there's no more. That's the problem, is we're going to run out. Not so much that it's going to hurt our world, which is bad, but we're going to run out and we need something else. That's the big problem.
Yeah. And it, it'll be interesting, but also you have to have everything comes down to somebody's pocketbook. You gotta have the costs be relatively comparable. I've heard the Tesla solar power roof, which sounds cool. Sounds like tiles are going to be better than regular shingles, last longer. Like, oh, that sounds great. But I heard something that's going to be like 80 grand for a roof. I'm like, nobody's going to pay 80 grand for a roof.
Yeah.
It's almost as much as a house, depending where you're buying.
It's
like
wild.
They're not going to pay that. If you get it down more in line with the $10,000 roofs, then yeah, I could see people going, all right, well, normal roof is 8. I can cut my electric bill for $2,000 more. Like, all right, I'll do that. But it's the cost difference right now that I think is going to hamper a lot of people from making that move. Because like you said, the average person isn't going to pay extra for the electric bike or whatever it may be. One, either because they can't afford it, because as we were talking about before, people tend not to save much, or two, it's just they're not willing to pay that premium, and so you have to shrink that gap.
Yeah, and I've seen. I wanted to comment on that Tesla solar roof. I saw that it actually sheds snow on its own.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it's got some sort of technology, whether I don't know if it moves or it just coated in a certain way that it doesn't stick to it. So
would be a bad thing for
helps your energy bills because there's less weight on it, less snow weighting it down, cooling it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool idea, and it's something that like we said, in the future, I could see it being the norm, but
Yeah.
it's not going to be next year.
Right. It's got something that's got to be phased in, or this is the first model. After he makes 100,000 of them, then it'll be cheaper.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's definitely pushing the envelope, you
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
like anything. Do I agree with everything he does or says? No, but you can't say he doesn't push the envelope as far as innovation.
Yeah. So this being the a sort of racing podcast, what is your experience with motorsports and racing, and just tell me about that.
Very little outside of like go-karts.
Sure.
um, no, something that, I've heard people done the, go to the track in Vegas. I know they have one where you can drive the race car and stuff, and it's something that'd be cool. Going fast always is something that's fun. Personally, I don't have a lot of experience with it. Partially, as you said, because it is a high barrier of entry, so not everyone can just go hop in a race car or a bike or whatever it may be and participate. But it is something that, you know, like anybody, that speed factor is always fun. So something that's somewhat interested me, but never anything I've actually done just outside of, go-kart tracks or that type of stuff, or on a video game or something like that.
Sure. I remember we always just grew up playing Gran Turismo at the house.
Yep. So the different racing games, and I'll fully admit at this point I probably haven't played any sort of video game in years, but
Yeah.
once something that when we were younger, yeah, always something we'd play, and the different racing games, whether it be that or dirt bike racing games or whatever it may be.
Sure. Well, I'd love to take you to Cart to Cart and do the actual carts there if you want sometime.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's something that is be fun to learn, actually, like learn how to do it, because I can drive a car, but driving a
Yeah.
car and racing something are vastly different skills.
Yeah, it's very different. I like going to this place because they actually have timing and scoring. So you have a transponder on your vehicle, and you get your lap time at the end. So racing is unique in that, if you're playing hockey or something, you can't really get a measurement of how well you did, because you could have a great game and still lose.
Mhm.
If for racing, it's a lap time. Your lap time is all that matters. I mean, there's other things. Your consistency, are you hitting people? But your lap time is a measure of how fast you are today, and it changes from day to day, and the track conditions or how you're feeling, or like many different things. Your tire pressure, your engine,
Mhm.
million different factors. So it's just a final number of how did you do today, and I just love that about racing.
Yeah, and I would say it's one of the few sports that, like, golf, you could say, or something like that, where it's really you control it. It's you. It's not, well, I'm part of a team, like you said. There's plenty of athletes, pro athletes at every level in the different major sports that are individually great, but don't have any success because the team around them is really what's affecting it. This is, which, I mean, I guess to racing, and you can speak to this, but having the team as far as pit crew and stuff like that, I'm sure does make a difference everybody's when you're at that elite level and everybody is good. It's seconds or fractions of seconds that makes the difference between winning and losing.
Oh yeah, and when I raced, I was always racing amateur. I did earn my pro license, but I was never able to use it because I just ran out of money. After my big crash, I smashed my bike up, and I just didn't have any more money to get back into it at the time. But I did have a couple of people. It was really just friends who helped me out. I wouldn't say it was a team. It was just, hey, can you help me out over here for a second? All right, thanks. That was.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of buddies like David Gray and Jeff O'Barry, and the guys in the pits who would help me out with tire warmers and bike stands. But mostly it's just you. Like, I drove my truck to the track. I unloaded everything myself. A couple of people helped me out, like opening the canopy.
Right.
Was there. But that's about it. I mean, you take your tires off yourself, and you walk them over to the tire guy. He'll change them for you because he's got a tire machine and he sells tires at the track. Then you put them back on your bike. You
Yep.
put the tire warmers on. You put them on the stands. It's time to go out. Somebody might help you with the tire warmers and stands, but usually you do that yourself.
Yeah.
It would I can't wait to go back to the track and do it kind of the right way with a crew. Like I don't expect to do it all the whole 9 yards when I get back into it, but I'd like to at least have one person there who can maybe drive the truck so I don't have to if I'm tired or injured, you know.
Sure.
And it'd be nice to have at least an extra set of hands. Like one person would be so much more helpful to always have, and to know your bike maybe can do some basic changes, maybe
Mhm.
brake pads or tires, some minor repairs like rear sets or handlebars are pretty simple to do. Um, the easy stuff. I'm not asking you to be able to rebuild an engine at the racetrack, but some people, like I've seen people change an engine in an hour, like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I would say that's not the average person.
Yeah, there's all kinds of levels of people. I'll just put a new clutch uh, in there right now, or put a new transmission in because I've had my transmission go out at the track before. It's like, well, you either fix it or you're going home.
Hmm.
And
And
I
which
go,
that's a wasted expense going out there and
oh
all that
yeah,
stuff.
I went to Alabama, and my transmission broke the third session, and I went home because I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the parts. Some people have extra engines with an extra transmission. How much do you want to get into it? Um,
Okay. So you said you got your pro level license. Do you have to re-earn it, or are you just when you jump back in, you have that ready and
so
waiting for you?
it expires every year, so you have to renew every year. So it's been expired now for a few years. It was issued 2015 season was my plan to do a pro race or two. It didn't work out. So my novice and expert amateur licenses have also expired. But I think since I have so many points, if I don't know if I have to do a novice race again. I might. We'll see. Really just
You
depends.
probably move through those pretty quickly though, if you
Yeah,
needed to.
yeah. It'll probably be like a race. Like, okay, you're fine. You're an expert now. Um, because I don't expect to be like at the back of the pack when I get back into it. Um, all this time I've been racing and doing other things and staying fit. Like Monday I did an Orange Theory fitness class. Wednesday I did a strength workout at home. Thursday I did a hot yoga class. After this at 3 p.m. I'm doing another hot yoga in Troy. So I'm
Mhm.
staying fit. I did a bike ride the other day. I only went like 2 miles to the bar, so that didn't help. But but I'm staying fit and active. I'm right. I just need the money again. I can't wait to get back into it.
Yeah, like you said, that high barrier to entry, which some people think like hockey and stuff's a high barrier to entry, but I'm sure compared to wrecking a bike and having to refix it and build it,
Yeah.
parts, all that type of stuff, hockey seems like a cheap sport.
Oh yeah. I mean, playing goalie can be expensive. It's a few $1,000s for all those pads, and it's not cheap. But it's just a different level. You're talking about like I feel like I'm trying to fund a mission to Mars, trying to build a race budget.
Sure, sure.
I mean,
Well, I mean, yeah, you look at it, the top level guys aren't usually funded by normal people. They tend to be very either large companies or very wealthy individuals that are bankrolling it.
well, people don't realize. They think, oh, you're just on a motorcycle. What's that, like 10 grand? Well, sure. I plan on buying a bike about $10,000 for my next one when I get back to the track. The bike I raced on most of the time, I paid $7,500 for it, ready to
Mhm.
go. And that was in like 2012. So you can buy something for 10 grand that's very worthy of the track, that's already built up. And, I sell a lot of parts that I would use on the track now, so I can get them at cost or even cheaper if I get help from the vendor. Uh,
Mhm.
and so, but most of the bikes you see on TV are a different story. The bikes you see on TV in my same class, you can buy off the showroom for 10 grand, but they have another 50 to $70,000 into them.
Mhm. Yeah, and upgraded parts and
Yeah, every single part is a different part. Like they may be a stock class, but that just means that the engine is not modified. Basically,
mhm.
I mean,
Well, similar to NASCAR is when it started was normal cars on there, and now like those are not what you see on the street.
no, I mean it's the shell of a normal car. That's
Yeah.
what it is. The shell of the manufacturer's car, but everything else is different. The frame it's the same frame, but they modify the frames too. They make them stronger. They make them lighter. not for every class, but yeah. So you can imagine I go do a pro event on my $10,000 bike. I'm competing with guys who have, tens of thousands of dollars into their machine more than me, and they're full-time professionals, and I'm just trying to dip my toe into their world for a minute.
Yeah.
So it's a very uphill battle, but it doesn't discourage me. It just makes me want to get better.
Sure. And that's the, right attitude, and an attitude that most people don't have is, because it's hard doesn't mean it's not worth trying to accomplish.
If it was easy, everybody would do it, and then you'd be done because you already did it.
Well, exactly. That's, everybody wants to be rich, and like, yeah, if it was easy, everybody would be. Most people aren't willing to put the work in either building a business or saving or whatever it may be on the front end. They just see the end result and go, well, must not be that hard. This person got there. It's like, you didn't see the 15 years of grinding to get to that point.
Yeah, my biggest problem right now with my business is just inventory, is not finding the inventory. I have all the access to inventory that I need. Is just getting that inventory listed online accurately with the right correct inventory link to the vendor and their inventory feed is a little bit of a nightmare right now.
Sure.
And also trying to recently I found that we listed some stuff somehow wrong, and I couldn't delist it. So it was back ordered from the vendor, and it kept selling. I was like, I can't turn it off now. It's like, it's great that I'm having orders for this stuff that I can't sell,
Yeah, finally, orders, great. Oh, okay, well, I can't really fill them, so this doesn't really work.
And now I got 4 of them. And now these customers are mad, and the customer bought it twice after I canceled it. Like, what are you doing? I just told you we don't have this, and I can't turn it off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
like you said, technology is great when it works.
Yeah, it's like whack-a-mole, with all these problems. But I'm so happy that I'm able to be in a position that I'm building my business. Like it's great. I'm running into new problems. They say if you're making new problems for yourself, you're at least not, stagnant. You're trying new things and you're moving along and learning. I hope.
Yep. So if you're not progress, what you're not moving, you're dying. Is that the saying?
Yeah. So it's getting better, and we had to take some things down to relist them, so those are going all back online. But man, we have access to about 10,000 products right now, and not all of them are listed, but it's like the tip of the iceberg. A lot of them are coming online. I'll be saying this for years. A lot of products will be coming online very soon, I promise. Because
like you said,
we'll be uploading new products. Always be uploading new stuff, so it's exciting.
Yeah, those are good problems to have. It means you're progressing forward and figuring out the next steps and innovating and that type of stuff. So I'm sure they'll get there, but like we said, everybody wants to see the end result. They don't necessarily want to put the work in to get there.
I'm in this for the long haul. It's just growing pains.
There you go. Good way to look at it.
So I'm thinking of changing up my background. I think it looks okay, but I want to have like maybe a cloth background with all the vendors that I have on it. Mm-hmm. Brands that I sell, I think that would be better than what I have back there.
I mean, I would say the stuff behind you shows you're knowledgeable in the stuff you're selling. You live it and use it and that type of stuff. But advertising never hurts either.
Right. So yeah, get some more dollars maybe instead of the vanity.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of both. Still, you could have the thing, but still have some of the like shelving type stuff and all that.
Yeah.
Split the difference.
Yeah, we'll see.
I would say the cloth thing's better than I've seen some of those where you can do the computerized backgrounds on this.
Oh yeah.
And, depending where you move, your face disappears and stuff. And I'm like,
right.
I've seen people with those, and it's a beach or whatever behind you. It's like, I know you're not on a beach.
Right.
You're in Michigan. You're in the cold like I am, and no, we're not on a beach.
So you're just in one of your spare bedrooms right now?
I'm actually in my bedroom right now. We're actually looking for a house with a 2-year-old and one on the way. We're expecting in September, so we need some more space.
What's coming up?
Yeah, so the real estate market is frustrating if you're a buyer right now. A lot of competition.
Yeah, I heard you guys been looking and put that on hold almost.
No, we've been keeping our eye out still. It's just there's not really much out there that's worth looking at the prices they want. So
Understandable.
we'll see. Hopefully by summertime or something, we find something. We put in several offers on different places and just got outbid by not a couple $1,000s, $30,000, $40,000, and
Wow.
looking at the house, I'm not willing to pay $40,000 over asking for it. So we'll get there. Well, like anything, it's consistency and keeping your eye out, and you'll find the opportunity. But if you're a seller, it's a great market. If you're a buyer, not so much.
Yeah, I hope to start looking late April, early May, and I've heard it's a nightmare out there. Every single house that I had saved on Trulia and Zillow is already either pending or sold or is in contingent.
Yeah, over the last year when we've looked at stuff, it's been, if there anything that's in pretty good shape and in an area most people would want, you're talking it's gone within a couple days, or has multiple offers within a couple days, or that type of stuff. So we'll see. I know the areas we're looking in are competitive too, but gone are the days of lowballing an offer and
Yeah.
having a week or two to think about it. Not how it is right now, but April, May, from the real estate people I've talked to, is probably a good time to start looking when inventory starts to come back on the market, because most people tend to sell in the spring and summer.
Okay. And before I forget, are you out there anywhere online on the internets and interwebs, like social media or any website or anything?
No, other than my work website and Facebook, not really.
And what's your Facebook if you want to say?
It's just my name.
Matt Dombrowski.
Yep, just my name. So yeah, other than I guess I technically have a LinkedIn. I don't ever go on it though. But
Are you a YouTuber?
Like watch YouTube or like go on YouTube?
Either one, like produce any videos or watch.
No, I don't. I know our firm's looking at branching more into podcasts and things like that. We've done it a little bit, so I might be venturing more into that just because of that, but not anything right now. Watch the occasional YouTube, or our daughter likes YouTube for her videos.
Sure. And what about podcasts? Are you into any podcasts?
I in the past listened to more podcasts. Right now, I've been doing a lot of ebooks and stuff. So
Or audiobooks?
Yep. When we're doing drives between offices, because we have 3 different locations, rather than listen to the radio, I'll usually listen to an audiobook or something like that.
Nice. Yeah, I think they offer a lot of value when you have downtime in the car rather than just listening to the same song 50 times.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'll usually switch it up between books for entertainment and books that are a little more knowledge based.
Yeah. I find myself trying to get a lot of more nonfiction books. I don't listen to a lot of fiction. It's just not my style, I guess.
Yeah, I'll listen to a little bit of that, or I try to do finance related books, gain a little more knowledge for our industry and things like that. So it's yeah, I agree. I don't listen to the radio that often.
Yeah, they just killed 89X radio in Detroit, Michigan, Metro Detroit here.
Yeah, that was a couple months ago. It switched over to a new format, which it had been that for as long as we were growing up.
That was my station, man, and now it's country.
Yeah, I'd say that's a country station now. A couple other ones that used to be other formats have switched over. So
Radio's dead for me.
So no, I mean we even regular radio we don't listen too much. Our cars have satellite radio, so usually if I'm in the car with my wife or daughter, it's more satellite radio than the local stations normally.
Is that Sirius or XM?
Both. It's Sirius XM now. They merge, so
oh yeah,
you get both.
I'm behind. I didn't know.
Yeah, they they merged a while back. So it I agree with you. I use, if it's just me in the car, I use it more for getting more out of it than just listening to the same songs over and over again.
Sure, very good. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna be going to do some fitness later, working on the business today. I've been just trying to focus on the business lately and trying to get all the inventory right and ship orders. And, I'm shipping orders every day. I've shipped over, it's almost 2,500 orders already to all 50 states. And
Do you personally ship them? Or
most,
is it your vendor that does it, like more
so,
of a drop store type thing?
so I have 7 rows of physical shelving here with tires and physical inventory. And then most of my new inventory is coming from the vendors on dropship. So I don't have to touch the dropship stuff, but I just still have about 1,400 or 1,500 items in my basement here.
So you gotta get those off the shelf.
Yeah, this is how I started, and this is not how I want to finish. I'm going to eventually get away from physical inventory because most of it is under $50 a piece. So most of it's like stuff I want to get rid of. I have probably, I don't know the numbers anymore, but 600 or so books. I have another couple hundred vinyl records. I have VHS tapes and cassette tapes, clothing. I have a bunch of racks of clothing. I have 4 tire racks of takeoff tires that are dwindling, but just a lot of like low dollar things that I got for free. And that's how I started. So you can get started for free. And then I gained a reputation, and that's how I gained the first vendor. And then I got that stuff online, and I got the second vendor, and just now I have 9 vendors, and I don't have time to put it all online. I got a little over my head with getting 9. The last one that I got was a cool one. It's not online yet, so I don't want to talk about it, the name of it. But it's a gear brand that they turned me down. That said, no, I'm sorry, we need a stocking order. And then I said, sorry, I don't do that. I don't buy inventory. I don't buy a single dollar worth of inventory. I get it all for free. And then I pay for it once it sells. That's called drop shipping. So they said, we're relaxing our buy-in. We're not doing it anymore because of COVID. We're trying to get new vendors. And so they got me on as a vendor. And now I just need to get the stuff online. So I got a full-time worker in India. I actually had another family member who was helping me out for about 9 months, but she just unfortunately resigned because it's very difficult. It's not like just do these little few things and that's how to list the product. No, it's like a full-time job basically. So there's a lot of problems with getting it online in the first place with the software that we're using. Working with the company, the inventory management software is a nightmare. Maybe I chose the wrong one, but this is the one I've chosen. I'm going with it because it'll be even more of an issue to switch to somebody new at this point.
Sure.
You're talking like a ton of work to try to switch to a new platform. That's not even feasible at this stage. So I'm just doing the best with what I got. I already have like a 50 to 80-page manual on how to do everything for the inventory software that we're using because the company that I went with does not have one for their own.
What company did you go with?
I'm using Solid Commerce Channel Manager. So a lot of software doesn't allow you to list multiple sites at once. That's kind of a feature of what I'm doing. So instead of just listing it to Amazon, most software just lists to one platform. This one allows you to list Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Shopify.
I know people use like Shopify or that type of stuff where.
Yep. So I'm on Shopify, and that's shopesr.com. So I have 2 websites really, ericswanracing.com and shopesr.com is the sales side of it. So at some point, I think I just want to go to ericswanracing.com and drop the shopesr.com. But that's a whole, merging that is going to be a nightmare too, because this one is through webs.com, and webs.com has a terrible e-commerce portal. It's terrible. So I had to use a different one, but that one was already taken. So I had to get a new one. So it's not perfect, but that's the hub for everything. And then you can go from there to eBay and Amazon. They're all linked there. So that's kind of like my hub now.
Yeah. Like I said, it's figuring out those problems and streamlining it. But once you get there and get it automated and all that type of stuff, it'll be worth it and give you the time to pursue the things you really want to.
Yeah, man, I can see there's glimmers of hope every once in a while. It's like, it's working, you know? And then there's months like, oh, I screwed something up. I had to take all that stuff down and redo it. And because like there's some driven racing product that was listed incorrectly. It was supposed to be a variation with drop down sizes. Like you can have a menu with like, I want blue or size 3, whatever. So it wasn't that way. They were all individual listings for 12 different items. And so you're paying, you know, for eBay, you're paying for insertion fees for every listing instead of one. So that's stupid. And it's all cumbersome for the customer. You don't want to look through 100 listings. You want to look through one listing and then click on the size. So it's not as good doing it that way. So got to take all that stuff down and relist it. And I'm trying to have my guy in India do that himself. And that's a nightmare. So I should have just done it myself and then had him do the next thing. But that's how you learn.
Yeah, like, you know, in any industry, everybody makes mistakes. You just don't want to make the same one over and over again.
I'm trying to have him be more autonomous, but it's taken him like a month to figure it out. I'm like, is that worth the time? I don't know.
Right.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there.
So we're already at 1:22. Would you believe it?
No, goes quick.
So everybody, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Eric Swahn Racing. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Pinterest and LinkedIn. I'm not on TikTok or Cameo or OnlyFans yet. I don't know if any other ones. That's about all of them. I'm on YouTube, obviously. YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, I think Pandora, maybe Discord. I'm on Patreon now. You can give me some Patreon money on there for $5 a month and watch the videos before they come out. If you want to do that, help me out. Trying to be everywhere as possible. eBay, Amazon, Etsy, everywhere.
So you're naming stuff that I don't even know what it is. So
yeah, man. There's a lot of audio platforms that this pushes to. That just Anchor FM pushes to a ton of audio platforms. So it's out there on platforms I've never even heard of.
Yeah, like you said, nowadays you got to be everywhere.
Twitch. I'm on Twitch now. When I do some streaming and gaming on the Formula wheel, sometimes I turn on Twitch so you can see the good races on there. I've been doing this Formula 1 game, and man, that one's kicks my ass. It's so difficult. And it's on like 50-60% difficulty on the AI difficulty.
Yeah.
And I was getting like dead last, 18th, dead last, 13th. And then I did it last night and I got 2 firsts back to back. I was like, I guess I figured it out.
There you go. Like you said, you got to stick with it. Most people don't. That's the problem.
And then I figured out, and then I looked at the difficulty. I was like, oh, that's pretty low. I guess that's why I figured it out. And then I won. And now I got to turn up the difficulty and turn down the assists. So I have less driver assists and harder cars to race. So I still got a while till I'm at the 100% difficulty.
There you go. Well, you'll get there, like you said. But it sounds like you have that drive and going in the right direction on things.
Yeah, man. So I'm going to get this posted and edited. It'll probably take a week or two. And then make sure that you share it as much as possible. And so we get as many eyeballs on it. I don't think we mentioned too many people, but if we did, you can tag them and all that. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, or do you want to go further?
No, it was great catching up with you. I got a few things I got to get done too. With we at my mother-in-law's birthday today, so I got to get some stuff ready for that, and go join a little bit of family time.
Oh well, happy birthday, Mrs. Dombrowski, possibly.
Khan, last name.
Miss Khan. And yeah, man, I'll talk to you soon, and we'll get some kart racing in maybe pretty soon here if you're interested.
Yeah, you'll have to show me the ropes.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.